How's it going, everybody? I hope you're all doing wonderful. I'm Jacob, and in today's video, I'm going to give you an update on my investment portfolio, give you insight into how it's been performing over the past month, and share with you all of the dividends that it's earned over the past month. First off, just want to say thanks to everybody for stopping by to check out this video. If you're new here, I do like to share updates of my investment portfolio, give you guys complete transparency into what it's like to actually have an investment portfolio. There's periods of ups and there's periods of downs, which you'll definitely see here in a little bit, but it's very exciting and I'm so happy to take you guys with me. So with that said, let's check out how we performed. And overall, the portfolio is valued at about $35,900. That's a total market gain of about $8,000. That's going to include both dividends earned as well as capital gain appreciation. And with that combined, that's going to put us at a money-weighted rate of return of about 65%. Now, overall here, since the beginning of the portfolio, there are some sectors that have performed better than others. The first being finance, that performed very, very well, 123% increase. We also have something like healthcare, which is a triple-digit increase, that's 116%. But then you had some sectors that perform much lower. So real estate, for example, they're only up 7%. Industrials as well, they're up 41%. So just to kind of show you guys how things balance out over time, you're definitely going to have some winners, some losers, but hopefully over the long term, you're able to achieve that steady growth. Now, I do have a link in the description of every single company in this portfolio. So if you want to dive a little bit deeper, you can definitely check that out. But I think most of you are probably interested in what happened over the past month. And it's been a pretty interesting month, to say the least. Most notably, the stock market took a pretty heavy decline. So for me specifically, that resulted in about a $4,800 decrease, which equates to about a 13% decrease. So you can see to start off March, it was pretty level. We did have a little bit of a dip in early to mid-March. Then things sort of picked back up and stabilized. But then we come to early April, and that's where we see a pretty big dip. And as you guys can imagine, this is primarily due to the tariff news. So I believe it was April 2nd where Trump had officially put those tariffs into place. And really due to that, the market has reacted quite heavily. From a portfolio perspective, technology has seemed to take the biggest hit. If we check out our technology pie here in the M1 Finance portfolio, Apple took a pretty massive hit, down almost 28%. And that's been one of the most stable companies for a long time now. But you had Broadcom down 19%, Texas Instruments over 23%. So technology took a pretty big hit, to say the least, which I guess makes sense because a lot of these are very big international companies. A lot of goods that they produce generally require resources from other countries. So for me, it makes sense why these guys have a pretty big decrease. Healthcare is another industry that took a little bit of a bigger decrease as well. Company like Eli Lilly down over 16%, AbbVie over 18%. So not the greatest month for pharma, and one of the better performing sectors, or maybe the least worst performing sector for me, was the consumer area. Most of these are down just in the single digits. So you have a company like Costco down about 6%, McDonald's about 7%, Coca-Cola 3.5%. So definitely not too bad for the consumer sector as opposed to something like the technology or pharmaceutical sector. But again, the tariff news, that kind of all makes sense. And so I guess my take on all of this is I'm truly not worried one bit. Because for me, I don't let short-term things influence my long-term investing strategy. Quite frankly, that's just how the market works. You're going to have your ups, you're going to have your downs. When you have the ups, you feel like you're at the top of the world. And then when you have your big loser days, you kind of feel like the world's caving in and you're going to lose every single penny you have. But I think you just have to zoom out and see the grand scheme of things. I feel like as long as you invest in good quality companies, have some good diversification in your portfolio, you're going to be just fine. And one thing I want to share with you guys here is a quote that stuck with me ever since I started studying finance, especially back in college. And that comes from Warren Buffett. And what he said was, "Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. And so that kind of plays on the idea that when the market is performing really well, and then a majority of the people are thinking, okay, I'm just going to keep buying more and more, the stock price is only just going to keep going up. And what that quote essentially says is that it's best to shift away from the majority and maybe unload some shares at that point in time. Conversely, when the market is going down, just like it has been for the past month, and everyone is sort of freaking out and selling all of their stock, maybe that's a good time to pick some up. Because if you think about it, in a way, you're buying stock at a 13% discount. And disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not telling you to invest all your money and buy a bunch of stocks. Only you can make that decision. But I think the quote that Warren Buffett said really does hold true. And I sort of lived through this back in COVID, which is actually when I first started investing. A lot of people were very fearful. They sold off. That's when I kept buying. And fast forward 3-4 years later, the companies that I bought at that time were the biggest winners in the portfolio. So I guess just a little light that I wanted to share with you guys, just in case you are feeling a little bit down in the dumps. I'm confident that things will get better. You just got to give it a little bit of time, let the market react, and I think it'll pick back up. All right, so with that said, let's hop into the dividends and see what we earned in the past month. To start off, we got $16.26 from Aflac. Then Johnson & Johnson paid out $6.44. Oil company ExxonMobil, they paid out $3.69. Then we have Eli Lilly. We saw they had a pretty bad month, but they paid $2.77. 3M is next. Fairly large industrial company. They've been on the decline for a few years now, had a few lawsuits, but they paid $1.93. Then we have technology company Microsoft. They tend to pay a lower dividend yield, but have been able to increase their share price quite substantially over the past 20 years or so. They paid $2.25. Consolidated Edison, energy company based on the East Coast of the US. You're not going to see too much crazy growth potential. Definitely not that hockey stick growth like you'll see with Microsoft or Apple. Mainly just that slow and steady growth. But they paid $1.23. Then Realty Income Corp. This is a monthly paying real estate investment trust. Very popular among the dividend community, but they paid $6.38. Stag Industrial, another monthly paying real estate investment trust. They paid out $2.68. Everybody's favorite fast food chain, McDonald's, $3.56 from them. Then BlackRock, this is an investment company. And if you guys dig deep, you'll find out that BlackRock has a pretty big share in many, many companies across the world. A lot of people like to say BlackRock literally owns the world, which may be true. I don't know. You just got to dig a little deeper, I guess. But they paid $8.03. Then we have Vanguard's high dividend yielding ETF. This is VYM, and they paid $15.20. Home Depot is next at $4.92. Then Waste Management, $2.52. $7 came in from the SPHD ETF. This is a monthly paying ETF. Generally, they focus on higher yielding dividend companies on the S&P 500 that tend to have a little lower volatility. Following that, we got a few different payments from Brookfield Infrastructure Partners. I'm not sure why it comes in a little weird here, but it equates to about $6.54 total. Then we have another ETF from Vanguard. This is their VTI ETF. So rather than just the S&P 500, there's a lot of small cap, mid cap, and large cap companies in here. They paid out $14.26. And then to round everything off, we have $7.66 from Broadcom. And so when we add everything together, the total dividend income for March comes to $113.32, which for me, I love to see, especially now that I'm nearing this $100 mark. Compared to this time last year, we were at $97, so a slight increase from that time. And that's actually going to wrap up quarter one of 2025. Man, I can't believe it. This year is just flying by. But that puts us at $250 of quarter quarterly dividend income. So we should absolutely hit our $1,000 mark this year. And when we break these numbers down a little bit more into monthly, weekly, daily, and hourly wages, every single day, these dividends alone are earning $2.74. So pretty motivating to see the type of income you can be earning from doing absolutely nothing while you're working, while you're sleeping, whatever. So for me personally, this is very motivating to see. So that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys all so much for taking the time to check it out. I really can't express how much I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I know times are a little bit rough right now, but hold strong, stick to your guns, keep that Warren Buffett quote in the back of your mind, and I think you'll be all right. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.